random stranger either, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you're a creep. Dude, so I gotta tell you, just Dustin Shalafa hit me
Yes.
up. He just a random message. It was the best message I've gotten in a long time.
Oh, now that we're doing the Zoom thing and everybody has more time, we got to talk to Dustin about getting on here.
Dude, yeah. So he says, I miss I miss asking you for crispy Finskis. Hope you're doing well, buddy. And I was like, oh, this was the best message ever. I
That's
miss
nice.
giving you crispy Finskis. And
Yeah.
for our listeners, a crispy Finsky is a $5 bill.
You gotta love Dustin Shalafo.
Yeah, he'd always want me to give him. He'd give me a 20, and I'd give him four $5 bills so that he could gamble $5 at a time,
Yeah.
because he felt like it was more reasonable to
Yep.
spend $5 four times than just to spend 20 all at once.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, it's stuff like that that you take for granted until it's not around anymore. That's why, like, it was maybe a week ago on our group chat for Liquid that I was like, hey guys, just remember we all have to come in early tonight. We're expecting a huge crowd. And I was like, bah, just kidding.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That was so great.
Uh-huh.
So you watched your WWE
WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Yes.
You watched that?
I did. I watched it with Dustin.
You did watch it with him?
Yeah.
Like in person?
Yep.
Word. I was gonna say, did you guys do like a watch party or something?
No, we maintained a safe distance. Everybody was washing hands. Like, we did it. We were as safe as we could have possibly been.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad.
And it was just the two of us. It was all the three of us. So, like, we were far enough apart that, there was nothing to worry about, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I have not hung out with anyone aside from my roommates for like 2-3 weeks, however long it's been.
Same.
And
That's why I figured it would be okay, because I'm not going out every day, like just hanging out with people just because. Like, this was a special thing. It was WrestleMania. It's a once a year type of a thing. So, like,
Is WrestleMania only once a year?
Yep.
Word.
So the WWE does a pay-per-view every month. So it's a different, like, January is the Royal Rumble. So the big four pay-per-views are the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and the Survivor Series. And those are the big four because they were the only four for a long time.
Okay.
It would be the Royal Rumble in January, WrestleMania end of March, early April, SummerSlam in August, and then Survivor Series in November.
Okay.
And then they spread them out. They started doing one a month when they were in competition with WCW. And I can nerd out about this all night long, so I'm not gonna, but I could.
Well, I'm curious. You've been invested in this the WWE, WWF for like what, 30, 45 years?
I'm not that old, you fuck.
I'm just kidding, but really though, how long?
Probably about 30. I'd say about 30 years. It's been probably the longest, most consistent relationship I've ever been in is with professional wrestling.
Yeah. You had made a post on Facebook talking about how you were watching this and that you were so happy that it was still happening, even though there wasn't going to be a live audience or whatever.
Yes.
Like, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about how that has played such a powerful part in your life?
How wrestling has played a powerful part in my life?
Yeah, I want you to nerd out a little bit because, like, a lot of people need something to, like, inspire them, and, like, I mean, personally, WWE does not inspire me, but your story about it does.
Okay, well, I started watching very young. I was maybe 5 or 6 when I was at a friend's house, and we were the kind of friends that, like, we were friends because our mothers were friends,
Yeah.
So he was watching wrestling, and I just immediately was hooked. Like, it's essentially, for the same reason people love the Avengers and all the Marvel movies and like action movies and things like that. It's essentially the same thing. It's you get these guys who sacrifice time with their families. They sacrifice their bodies to entertain people like me. Close to 300 days a year, they do that, and the athleticism is just it's come such a long way since the days of like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior just kind of running into each other until one of them falls down. And I've made like because of wrestling, I've made some of the best friends I've ever had. Dustin Shalafo is a good example of that. The reason we became cool was we were both at an open mic one night. We actually both started doing stand-up like within a week of each other. I was at an open mic wearing a Santino Marella t-shirt. Santino Marella is a former WWE superstar. And Dustin said that he saw me wearing that shirt and was like, this seems like somebody I can talk to. And since then, he's been my best friend since I moved to Idaho, essentially. And so, you go to the live events, there's nothing like it. Like there's just thousands of people all there for the same reason, whether we like the same people or we don't like the same people. There's a camaraderie about it. Although some wrestling fans are almost too nerdy, even for me, like because they just like, they'll complain about everything. Like no matter what, they're never satisfied. No matter what the outcome of anything is. A lot of them are like a bunch of petulant, spoiled children. They're like, you didn't do the thing that I wanted, so your company sucks, and I'm not going to watch it anymore. Meanwhile, they're watching every episode of every show anyway. So, like, it's just, but, I don't know. It's just been such a, like, the larger-than-life athletes, like the Macho Man Randy Savage, and, Shawn Michaels, and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And who's this big guy that I thought was the other guy?
Oh, Andre the Giant, the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, Andre the Giant, he was the guy who played in Princess Bride, right?
Yes, he played Fezzik in The Princess Bride. And before that, he wrestled all over the world, and he was one of the biggest attractions ever because there was nobody like him. He was 7'5", 500 pounds.
Massive guy.
Yeah, he was a literal giant. They called him the eighth wonder of the world. And his story is heartbreaking. Like HBO did a documentary on him, and that I highly recommend if you can check it out, because holy shit, like the story of Andre the Giant is amazing and heartbreaking all at the same time. Like I teared up a bunch of times watching that documentary just because of everything that he went through in his life. Because imagine being 7 years old and being 6 feet tall. You know what I mean? Like he dealt with that his whole life. Yeah. And then he was just the spectacle, like he was just this big guy that people wanted to be around just because he was Andre the Giant, because he was so big. And he said that, he would hear people laughing at him, and kids would like run away from him screaming sometimes. And, so, there's a lot of things that these people, these athletes, wrestlers go through, just in their everyday life, because it wasn't always cool to be a wrestling fan
at middle school.
Yeah. And, that's one of the reasons I respect, like people say, wrestling's fake. How could you like that? Wrestling's fake. They're not really hitting each other. And like, it's scripted. You know what I mean? Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. aren't really beating the shit out of each other, but their stuntmen are taking those shots. You know what I mean?
Are you referring to the Avengers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Iron Man and Captain America aren't really kicking the shit out of each other in movies, but we go and we watch that because it's fun. And meanwhile, behind the scenes, like I said, their stuntmen are actually taking, they're falling off of stuff and crashing into things. And
yeah.
this is essentially, And to think, like, wrestlers have broken their necks. They've had to retire because of injury issues, and you don't see your family. You miss baseball games, you miss Christmases, you miss birthdays. Like they don't get the respect they deserve, I don't think, from like mainstream sports fans, because like it's scripted, it's choreographed. It's not, there's no way to fake running your head through a steel chair. Like you can't fake that. That hurts.
Yeah.
You're gonna get concussed. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I feel like I'm just kind of rambling.
I don't feel like it was you rambling. I mean, I feel like you hit a lot of the things about it that are important to you. And that's really like what I was getting at. It's kind of like, I mean, for one of my longest pastimes is swimming.
Yeah.
And being near water and stuff. It's like any chance I can to get out on the water, I'm gonna take it.
Right.
And like I have memories of being like barely able to walk and being thrown off of a diving board and learning, like being
right.
like forced into learning how to swim.
Yeah.
But and like so it starts off like that, but then it progresses to like some of my best memories of my young years is at the Publix pool, and my cousin teaching me how to do like gainers and double gangers off of the high dive, and then
right.
it escalates from there to like whenever I decided to get certified to be a lifeguard instructor, or a lifeguard, not instructor, but a lifeguard. And then like, I mean, over the last few years getting involved in paddleboarding. And I mean, I don't think I want to do this, but I think it's a kind of a cool idea that I've played with a little bit, doing those, what is it, a triathlon where you ride a bike, ride and swim all in the same race.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe I should do it because I think that'd be really cool. I've always ridden bikes too. That's a thing.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at running fast.
No.
But it could be.
Well, I mean, those things aren't about winning. It's just about competing.
Right? That's true. That's true.
It's about the rush of just, pushing yourself.
Yeah.
Just run at your own pace, my man.
Fair. So, like, some of your like you said, Dustin Shalfo being one of your best friends since you've lived in Idaho.
Yeah, practically,
has been a result of a mutual interest in the WWE and a lot of other things too. But that's one of the things that has like tied you all together.
Yeah, and I tell you, I used to take shit for it when I was a kid. Like,
yeah.
Before it became cool to be a wrestling fan, I would get so much shit for for watching these things. And I remember one time I entered a contest to win tickets to see wrestling live at Madison Square Garden in New York, and I won. And they called me to tell me that I won. You would have thought that I won the lottery. Like, I was jumping up and down, screaming. I'll never forget it. It was one of the most exciting, one of the most exhilarating things that had ever happened to me until that point in my life. And I was maybe 7 or 8.
Yeah.
It's just, I love all of it so much.
So did your mom take you to that?
Yep. My mom would take me whenever she could. Obviously.
Is she a big?
No.
Sorry.
No, she's not a fan at all.
She's just a supporter of fans.
Yes, she's a supporter of her son. I don't think anybody but me could have gotten her to go to a live professional wrestling event.
Fair.
So
That's
thanks,
so
Mom.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right, let's bring it back to friendship.
Like we were talking about friendship being kind of the topic seed for this podcast.
Yes.
We want to take this opportunity to thank our friends, like
Absolutely.
Obviously mutual friends of ours, Dustin Shalfa. That guy, he's got such a good heart and
he really does.
Loves people sometimes.
He's one of the greatest people you'd ever want to meet.
Yeah. He loves the people that he wants to love, and I feel that you and I are both in that category. So
absolutely,
thank you, Dustin.
accurate.
I'm sure you'd be fucking going crazy if it wasn't for your roommates.
Oh yeah, yeah.